how close am I to Sydney Prescott? Like, I'm not the Sydney Prescott. Everyone just turns and looks at her. Oh, that's shitty. But if I'm a Tatum, then no, because I'm gonna, if I'm like a Randy and like the know-it-all and I'm just the nerd and I'm a friend, no, I'm not surviving. But
Ooh, Jay, did you hear that? The know-it-all, you're not surviving. Did you hear her say that? Mm-hmm. Just so you know, just so we can put a squash to last week's argument.
I think upon rewatching this that the majority of us would end up being the people at the party who leave to go. That way we are not necessarily in the killer's path.
That's exactly where I was going with it. That if I'm not Randy and Tatum and close to Sydney and in that in-group, then I'm leaving the house party.
Yeah.
In fact, let's be honest. I was a nerd in high school. I'm not going to the house party. I'm following curfew.
It's true. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Hard same on my end as well. I was grounded so much in high school. So I was at home. I was hearing about the party on Monday. Now, let's say you were a part of Sydney's group. Let's say you weren't a Tatum, you weren't a Randy, but like, let's say there were two more friends tacked on to here. Where do you think you'd land?
I hope I would be like a Gail Weathers. Yeah. Punch it out. Yeah. Gail Weathers probably is the most, I know you try not to spoil what happens later on in the movie, but there's a point with a gun and that would totally be me. Like, nice. I'm confident. I know what I'm doing. Oh, I fucked it up.
But I like it. I like it. You know where you're at. You know where you would be in this. So I appreciate that. Now, I know that there was kind of some talk. Were we going to do Scream or were we going to do Saw? Now, those are drastic differences, Scream and Saw. Tell me really quickly, what was the comparison right there? Like, what was the draw between Scream and Saw?
They're movies that I just also genuinely love watching. Like, I've watched each one over and over again. Almost every October, I do some sort of like Saw rewatch and Scream. Like, they're just in my repertoire. I love Scream because of the final girl, because of like the nostalgia of it, of like 90s high school. It's so well made, so well crafted by Wes Craven. The suspenseful parts, the look behind you, the killer's right behind you. I love it so much. And then Saw, I love the traps. I love how thought out Jigsaw is with the traps and the bloody aspect of it. It wasn't as much there in the first one as it is later on. And
really creative for its time.
Yes, it was. Yeah, absolutely.
Everything that Saw did has been done to death. So it feels like a cliche at this point. But when it came out, it was a brand new thing. It's funny that we talk about how scary that opening scene was and how much Wes Craven knocks this movie out of the park. He actually had thought about not doing it at all because he wanted to get away from horror. He felt typecast and he felt that horror had become very misogynistic and like unnecessarily violent. And he just wasn't into that idea. And then
I can agree with that misogynistic, sorry to interrupt, but I can agree with that misogynistic point because in a lot of the horror documentary series that I've watched or like talking about like this genre itself, that was such a big complaint was the aggression towards women and the misogyny of the horror genre. And that's why I think I've just gone so hardcore on the Scream movies is because like, this is not sexist at all. Like Sydney Prescott, she fucking lays it down. She is, spoiler alert, at the end of this movie, she's the one to don the mask at the very last one in this movie to don the mask. And that to me is just, that's power right there. So yeah, I can agree with that misogynistic. Cause I mean, look at some of the horror movies. Like, and I love Friday the 13th. I love Jason, but it's a lot of murder towards women and naked women and that kind of thing. And, you know, Friday the 13th is just one example, is the one I could think of at the top of my head. But I agree. It got pretty rough for a while. So, I mean, look at fucking Last House on the Left or I Spit on Your Grave.
Yeah. Last House on the Left was Wes Craven.
Yes. Yeah.
He knows full well how violent it could be. And one of the things that pushed him over the edge and wanted to do it was Drew Barrymore signing on to it. Because for him, he was like, if someone who is this high profile is willing to show up in this horror movie, and let's go ahead and do it. It must not be furthering the stereotypes, and I think it doesn't.
Yeah, no, I think this is a phenomenal movie. I really do. And I think it's a very watching Sidney Prescott makes me want to like go out and kill a bad guy. Like, like it really does. Whenever I started to get ready for things now, and I'm like, am I feeling overwhelmed? Am I feeling angry? What am I feeling? Doesn't matter. Sidney Prescott would fucking do it. Like, I'm just like, have that strength like Sidney Prescott does, man. Because I mean, honestly, like you see it all the time, the arguments between who the best final girl is and who the best scream queen is and whatever. Now, Jay and I do have a different opinion on the scream queen aspect, scream queen. But as far as the final girl goes, I think we're both kind of in agreement that Neve Campbell is the best. I'm speaking for Jay. He doesn't have to, he's not going to agree with me, but I'm saying he's going to agree with me. He's like shaking his head. Well, yeah, kind of like.
Yeah, she has the advantage of a whole film series.
Yeah.
Some of the other ones who I would consider don't necessarily have a series under their belt. So I don't know. I can't think of anything else right now because I'm just a full on scream mode.
So right now we are getting introduced to the killer's first call to Sydney. Now we saw Ghostface take out. Unfortunately, we saw her take him. Oh my God, I can't talk. We saw him take out Drew Barrymore. Everyone knows Ghostface, right? Everyone knows what he looks like. He has that really long black Halloween robe that has little cutouts at the bottom. It's the very long white ghost mask with the black eyes, long black mouth. Now, originally, that robe was going to be white because they wanted him to be more scary and look like a ghost. Guess what he got compared to? Yeah, that's right, white people, the Ku Klux fucking Klan. So yeah, that's a no-go. And so I think this is great. I think I love the black robe. I love the white mask. I think everything works so beautifully.
I'm so happy they didn't go with the white robe. I mean, for obvious reasons, but also the way the white mask just hangs in the air in the dark with the black around it is so good.
Yeah.
That
spooky.
Thinking of it, it's spooky. And then like reflecting on glass and all of that. And you wouldn't have had any of that if the entire thing had been white. Wrong feel. Just wrong feel.
Yeah.
It makes it harder to hide in the dark when you're a giant white blob.
Agreed. Yeah. So really good call. Costume design team. Really good call.
Well, the costume design team actually had nothing to do with that.
Oh, I know. But I'm just saying like,
like it's legitimately straight off the shelf.
Yes.
Costume. Like, so they tried all sorts of ways to change it so that they didn't have to pay the licensing fee. So one of them was changing it to a white robe, which did not work.
Nope.
They tried redoing the face just a little bit here and there. And there are actually a couple shots in the movie that have a different version of the mask. And it's one of the things that Wes Craven like doesn't like because he can see that. Minimal differences, just enough so that they didn't get sued if they didn't pay the licensing rights. Like
super subtle, super subtle.
They finally ended up just using the straight off the dollar store shelf costume.
I mean, come on. It's the best one. It's the best one. And obviously a lot of times the simplest answer is the best answer. So yeah. So right now Neve Campbell's taking on Ghostface. He jumped out of the closet and he is after her. And I love it so much. This is such a,
do you think if Ghostface killed Neve Campbell here, because he was up and ready for the kill, would he have stopped killing? Would that have finished the spree?
Well, that would have made me think that then the story wasn't about her. You know what I mean? Like, because the whole thing was we killed her mother because the mother was sleeping around with a father that she shouldn't have been sleeping with. And so now, we punish the mother, but now we're going to punish the daughter too. So I feel like, had they killed Neve Campbell, like right then and there, story would have been over. For sure. Story would have been over.
To add weight to Victoria's argument that Sidney Prescott is the best final girl.
Jay's and I's argument. Mutual agreement on this argument.
Is the only person to have survived the run-in with the killer because as it comes out, the killer has killed her mom. And then also killed both Drew Barrymore's character and her boyfriend. So that's 3 people that they have successfully killed.
This is a fake mask. Dewey's holding it up. It's
Yeah.
the like fake license,
Is
like
it?
try not to get sued mask.
Yeah, that's funny. So yeah, like as far as we know, she's the first person to survive. So that you know, you don't frequently have final girls who have multiple run-ins this early into the movie, because she has 3 or 4 total run-ins, I think, at least. Survives more or less on her own through all of them. Like there's not really a whole lot of assistance. So you might have a very convincing argument about her being the best final girl.
It is the best argument. So we should say too that the voice that we hear, the like, what's your favorite scary movie, Sydney? That voice is played by Roger Jackson. And so that Nev Campbell and Drew Barrymore didn't meet him before shooting started. So when they're on the phone with him, they're actually on the phone with him, but they don't know who he is. So they know that they're supposed to be like doing their lines and everything, but they truly at the time didn't know who they were talking to, which I think that's so cool. Like what a way to make that more authentic. You know what I mean?
I love this lime green, lime yellow business suit.
Yes.
That about, what was it, 5-6 years ago, neon came back, and then like you walked into Target and it was all neon lime green again. And I was like rewatching this, I'm like, oh my God, fashion's cyclical. Everything is true. Everything's a lie and everything's true.
So Alina, what made you start the Akron Horror Hounds?
So a couple things is that I think during the pandemic, whenever it was movie night, and I would say, okay, husband, here's the movies that are out right now that, I picked out. Like, do you want to see this action, this comedy, this horror? And he always would pass on the horror. And I was like, okay, next time. And then eventually he was like, I don't like horror movies. And I'm flabbergasted. I'm like, we've been together for like 15 years. What do you mean? Our entire relationship is a lie. Like, what are you talking about? Our first date was to Hostel. He's like, what do you mean? And he's like, what? I'm like, but you went to Hostel. He's like, yeah, I wanted to date you. I wanted you to like me. So I sat through it, but I hated it. I hate all of it. I hate Eli Roth. I hate the Saw franchise. I just know. And I'm like, okay, well, to be fair, they all like body horror and Eli Roth. And this, I'm like, oh, all right. But he will watch like Exorcist or Amityville Horror or Hellraisers, like the 80s classics. But yeah, I wanted people to watch horror movies with. I wanted people to talk to them about and with, and I just wanted to make friends. And I wanted other people to come in and make friends with other people. So that's why I started the club, is just to have a whole community where we all can get to know each other and share knowledge, share our passion. I try to make the club really a facilitator of community events. So to always keep people in the know with what's going on, like the nightlight showing, a midnight showing of Jaws last August, where you could, and midnight showing of Reanimator. That Pet Cemetery was shown at Wolf Creek Winery one year. How cool is that? And when I tell people these things, they're like, wait, that happened? And I'm like, oh, don't you wish there was just a social media place you could go and keep up to date with stuff going on in and around Akron that is horror related? Like Nosferatu was at the Canton Palace Theater with a live accompaniment.
Yeah.
That was so cool. And so, yeah, just setting up a meeting, getting the word out so that if anyone wants to go and need a friend to go with, we have that. That's what we're here for. That's awesome. And so that's been really fun to get to meet people, see Halloween Kills in the theater and then go out after and talk about it. And the Scream 5 fan event that was at the theater at Portage Crossing, because it was across, like, what's all that, AMC theaters, Cinemark?
Cinemark.
That brand of theater. And it was they have like interviews with the cast and crew ahead of the movie, and then if you stuck on until after the end, they had a live streamed Q&A with David Arquette and one of the writers and directors. And that, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that anyone in Akron who wanted to know that was going on, you'd have that knowledge, information available to you. So that was the main thing, is to watch movies myself and this is really, I'm so happy it's been giving me the excuse, time to watch all these movies I've always wanted to watch. like The Thing, like Suspiria, that on movie nights my husband would always pass on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been great.